So I have just crossed Guangzhou Boulevard into Huacheng Square. In other words, Flowers Garden Square to the westerners. Still don't know who Chen Huacheng was? Read a bit of history, my friends. You will learn a lot. The man who stood against British Empire, the drug dealer of 19th and 20th century, to protect his people, his country, his nation. The drug trade was the reason for the first opium and second opium wars, because Qing dynasty banned opium trade exports into their dynasty, into their country, into China. And in early 1839 they seized opium stocks on Pearl River in Guangzhou from private merchants. All of them are British, Europeans, but most of them British. British Empire. Well, the Qing dynasty warned merchants and others involved, if they continue their business practice, trading opium into China, illegally exporting it into China, there will be consequences. And the consequence is number one, death penalty. However, British Empire sided with the private merchants, British merchants supported by British Empire, because they were paying taxes, making money, making British banks richer. And then the Qing dynasty, one of the viceroys of the emperor, sent a letter to the Queen Victoria. I mean, back then you would send a letter to an envoy, probably British envoy or military personnel or consul somewhere in Guangzhou, Shenzhen, because the British Empire was trying to get like trading posts across South China Sea coastline. And then, well, this letter apparently never arrived, according to some historians and history books. According to others, it arrived, but the Queen Victoria just ignored it. And then, British Empire asked for compensation for seized opium stocks and asking for legalization and equal trading status and diplomatic relations and so on and so forth. So the people of Qing dynasty, the Chinese, were suffering because the number of edicts was increasing, and it became a health issue for this country. And that's why the Qing dynasty, they say they will not pay compensation and they will not lift the ban. The British Empire declared war on Qing dynasty, which started in Guangzhou on Pearl River. Back then there were no roads, no railways. The only way to get around was sailing through the rivers, upstream, downstream. And the British Empire was using modern ships of the 19th century in comparison to Chinese. And then the Chinese lost. And Chen Huacheng was leading his army at the Yangtze battle in Shanghai, where there is a temple dedicated to his name and to other his predecessors, his ancestors from Han and Ming dynasties. The temple is called the City God Temple, or Temple of City Gods. And Chen Huacheng is one of them, a military commander. You don't have to be emperor to be a city god. You can be, if you're a good fighter, like Chen Huacheng. He promised his nation that he would fight to death, knowing that this is almost not a winnable war for Qing dynasty. And they went war, and Chinese lost. And then Chen Huacheng lost his life at Yangtze battle. He was killed by British drug dealers, drug lords of 19th and 20th century. And then British Empire took control of Hong Kong Island, which is the main island in Hong Kong, where China, after the defeat, just ceded the Hong Kong Island to British Empire and opened it ports for trade, opened it trade posts for exports from Europe, the Western world, where the tensions never ended. And that was here. And there we have, that came the Second Opium War. Then the Chinese lost again to the drug dealers of 19th and 20th century. So I am saying British Empire, by modern definition, by all definitions that we know, have learned throughout our studies of life, was a drug dealer, was a drug lord, making money by killing, poisoning other societies, communities, nations. So yeah, this is I'm walking through Huacheng Square. In other words, Flowers Garden Square, to my fellow Westerners who know nothing about Chen Huacheng. Next time when you're here, when you walk through this park, just show respect to Chen Huacheng. He was the man who promised his people that he would fight to death, and he fought to death. The Chinese people, Chinese historians, Chinese history called 19th and early 20th century the age of humiliation, the century of humiliation. And what you see now around me, right on the Huacheng Square, in the heart of Tianhe district, in central Guangzhou. You see these towers, you see these twin towers. These are the signs of the century of pride, success. Let's have a tour. These are the signs of century of pride, success. See, Canton Tower in the background, and the lights are shooting up. Right at the Huacheng Square. Huacheng Square, Flowers Garden Square. I'm heading to the riverbank. I wanted to see this light show going on over there, shooting up. It touches the clouds. Today you don't see because it's not cloudy. Yesterday you could see. It goes high as to the clouds. So this one is CTF Finance Center. And this one is IFC International Finance Center in Guangzhou. There are twin towers. Yes, we have a 360-degree view like this. Have it.